a virtual no-show, and that last shot that he heaved, I don't know what he was thinking. There was plenty of time on the shot clock. I don't know what he was thinking by launching a shot like that. You saw Steph Curry's body language, you saw Draymond Green's body language, and you saw Steve Kerr just throw his hands behind his head and just bend down to look at him. What the hell was he thinking? Too experienced, too much of a veteran, too accomplished to make such a boneheaded decision like that. And then obviously some of the key turnovers down the stretch, a couple of key turnovers by the sensational Steph Curry, had a triple-double, played an outstanding game, but there was a couple of opportunities I'm sure he'd like to get back, including a long heave that he tried to launch over Anthony Davis. You just look at it, and don't get me started with Jordan Poole. There should be an APB out for him right now. We can't find him. He's MIA. There's an APB somewhere. And then the pout after the game, the way that he has with the media and everybody else, he has been an absolute catastrophe in these playoffs. There is no...
Look, AD, incredible job moving his feet and contesting that shot. The second one, I think, this is where Steph Curry maybe would like to have this back. He doesn't make AD work all that hard and uses his length to force a really high arcing three that comes up short.
That was in a 1-point game. Then after the Lakers made 2 free throws, here comes more great defense from the Lakers.
Yeah, you run a fake handoff of Draymond, maybe you get a quick 2, but instead on the weak side, you're looking for the 3. Lakers switch it. Great. Wiggins doesn't dive hard enough, and Draymond has nowhere to go with the basketball. You turn it over. Nothing worse than not getting a shot off in a critical situation late in the game.
But they did have one more chance. That would lead to this, a jump ball, which the Warriors win, and then Steph Curry throws it out of bounds. They had a timeout remaining. They will take that one back to San Francisco with them for Game 5. In the end, the Lakers come away with a 3-point win and a 3-1 series lead in Los Angeles. And at the game last night was the one, the only, Stephen A. Smith, who was up early and ready for a first take in a half hour. Stephen A., thank you for coming in early for us here this morning. Before I ask any questions, you were there last night. What is your number one takeaway from the Lakers' big win in Game 4 last night?
Well, that was a big top performance by Lonnie Walker IV, coming off the bench and producing the way that he did with 15 fourth-quarter points. Got to give him major props. Outside of that, the discombobulated, undisciplined, just dysfunctional-looking Golden State Warriors, the reigning defending NBA champions, I just don't know how to count the ways. I look at Steve Kerr. You started Gary Payton the second.
In the West, who you think they are?
Well, I don't think they're the favorites as of yet, not with the way Devin Booker and Kevin Durant played last game and the kind of show that Devin Booker, the light-skinned Mamba, that's what I call him, with the show that he's putting on. That's number one. I would remind everybody that Denver's still the number one seed in the West, and Jokic just dropped 53. You might not have size on the Golden State Warriors to serve as an impediment to the greatness of Anthony Davis, who, by the way, deserves a lot of props because he finally showed up in back-to-back games instead of taking every other game off. But when you're going up against Jokic, although I consider Anthony Davis to be his kryptonite to some degree in terms of negating the greatness of Jokic, he did just drop 53. The man knows how to put the ball in the hole, and he knows how to play, and he's certainly not some small dude that you can push around. So that's a different animal that they pose. But the Los Angeles Lakers are a better team, and I think we got to stop acting but so surprised. Remember, when they made the trade, which GM Rob Pelinka deserves all the credit in the world for, understand that Russell Westbrook, as good as he was as a Los Angeles Clipper, in my estimation, was equally as bad as a Los Angeles Laker. He was an impediment to their success. They needed to get rid of him on their particular roster. They did that, and in return...
On that thought, if we can, give me the Warriors' path to getting back in this series starting tomorrow night in San Francisco.
Well, make shots, cut down on the turnovers, and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry have to step up. I have no doubt Steph Curry will. I'm just wondering when his brother is going to show up and be consistent. Certainly he showed up the game before last night, but the reality of the situation is you need consistency from Klay Thompson to some degree. If Klay Thompson is playing a good game along with Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors win these games. They don't lose it. It's just a shame that he can't get any consistency out of him right now. That's really the situation, but it's been a story for the Golden State Warriors all season long. One day they look like champions. Another day they look like a lottery team. And sometimes they look in between, but in the same breath, they turn the ball over at key moments and what have you, and you just find yourself looking at them and scratching your head and saying, my God, don't you all remember that you're champions? Don't you remember what it took to become champions? Why can't you resemble that? That's what I'm looking at right now. I think they'll answer the call in Game 5. I think Game 6 obviously will be very interesting back here at the Crypto.com arena, and then potentially a Game 7. We shall see.
Yeah, they play every other night. So Game 5 is tomorrow night in San Francisco. Game 6, if necessary, is back in L.A. on Friday. We would have that for you on ESPN. And then the game Sunday we would have as well if there is a Game 7 in San Francisco. Let's talk about the Lakers, though, because this is a team, and Wendy's been pointing it out with us all morning long. I mean, they were 12th in the West with a couple of weeks to go in the regular season. But even then, you and Wendy and others and Kendrick Perkins, I know.
More they acquired before the trading deadline as well. That's 4 different bodies that are all making contributions for you. When you can anticipate that, and all that's gone is Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley, we all expected the Los Angeles Lakers to be in the playoffs and potentially make some noise once we saw the bodies that were able to make contributions. So we shouldn't be totally surprised by them playing well. We should be surprised at how awfully inconsistent the Golden State Warriors have looked.
For sure. So that series is 3-1, and that's where it sits. I'm somewhat hesitant even to bring up the other series that is now 3-1. But I think America wants to hear a taste of your reaction. I'm sure you will have lots to say on First Take. But as your beloved New York Knicks, your orange and blue skies go down 3-1 in the sun of South Beach, what is your reaction to New York's performance last night?
Kind of scared of what I want to see on national television. I'm so disgusted with Julius Randle. I'm so disgusted with R.J. Barrett. Little less than Julius Randle. I'm not disgusted with anybody more than I'm disgusted with Julius Randle. I'm on the verge of asking for him to be traded. I'm just disgusted. I think that this series is over. I think that the New York Knicks, orange and blue skies, it was a nice run. I'm very proud of Jalen Brunson and the kind of impact that he's had on the New York Knicks. As much as I respect and adore Tom Thibodeau and the coach that he is, I'm looking at the personnel that he didn't use and the people that he trusted and he relied upon and how they haven't come through for him. It would have been nice to see him throw a twist in the mix, even throwing some of the bodies we haven't seen throughout the regular season into it, a la Evan Fournier or Derrick Rose, even give somebody some help, because with what Julius Randle has been doing, I mean, you might as well try anything. I'm on the verge of coming on national with what he does in the postseason. I'll get into all of that on First Take, but my heart's hurting, I'll admit it. I'm emotional when it comes to the New York Knicks, not objective when it comes to them at all. I will openly concede that to the public at large, but I am utterly disgusted. I vomited last night watching them. I have to admit that. I had literally vomited. I threw up because they were that damn awful. I mean, they put construction workers to shame. They can't shoot. You got a star in Julius Randle that gets petulant and petty when he's not shooting the ball well, so he does everything else wrong. I'll get into it more as I gather my composure and what have you, but I consider the Knicks season a wash. It's over. I was planning on finally going to the Garden for the first time this Wednesday. I'm not showing up. I'm not watching this. It's pathetic. I'm really disgusted with them. And, at least they had a weekend in South Beach. I guess that's something to brag about. Most of us would have liked that. They had that available to themselves. And they come back to New York with a loss. I mean, stop it. You got to put Gary Payton II in that game. That's number one. You need his defense and his energy. That's what you started. That's why you started him. You finished